Hi everybody, my name is Erik Börtemark. I am in charge of the supply chain at Findus. Just like the previous speaker said, I think most of you from Sweden know what Findus are, and I bet that you buy any of our products every week. Most Swedes are actually. I'm going to talk a little bit about service and about the fact that we had a journey where we thought that working capital was important, but the service optimization, how that changed the way of working with our inventories and our working capital. I'm just going to give you a short brief of what Findus are. As we heard, we are in our main focus is frozen food, and it has been since almost 70 years. We actually brought the frozen food concept and the wording into Sweden from the States back in the 50s. And we are number one in the Nordic market on frozen food. And we are number one in several categories as well. And we try that the frozen food, to keep it frozen, keeps it fresh, nutritious, and we try to make great tasting. And we do it by passion. This is not really, there you go. For Nordics, we're 4.5 billion, and Sweden is about 2.5 on that one. We're 1,100 employees here, but we also have activities in the UK and in Spain and France, for example. We're based in Bjuv, in Skåne, and in Oslo and Helsinki. And we're part of what's been called the Findus Group. Some of you might know that we have actually been sold just recently to new ownership. I will come back to that in a bit. Our networks is basically, we have 5 production facilities in Sweden and Norway, and we produce more than 170,000 tons of food every year, of which most is vegetables. We support several channels with different demands. There's a retail and a food service. We also do a lot of export and industrial sales. Yeah, we are still owned by private equity, but we're getting into a new setup shortly. We have a long heritage and a lot of experience, and we have a lot of products. You might notice some of these. We got some really hero products. Our peas is one of them, and we are today doing the last day of this season's crop, and we broke a new record. So we ended up at 38,200 tons of peas in 59 days, which is quite a flow. A little bit of the supply chain and the complexity of such. Just like IKEA said, and we don't have that many products, but we have like 800 finished products, and we try to replace them about 20% or 25% every year, just because to be interesting on the shelf, and also being part of the change in demands and tastes. We buy raw material from all over the world, fish and vegetables from various areas. Where it grows at its best, trying to freeze it at source. For Sweden, we have 4 factories and 23 production lines, and each line is basically one technology or one range, which gives some sort of complexity and inflexibility. We have one Swedish DC right now that we're starting up as we speak, and we do replenishment for our sister companies in the Nordics and in Europe. We don't have a lot of customers to some extent. A lot of the volume goes to the main ones that you know about here in Sweden. But we also have hundreds of small customers that we sell to directly. One thing that is interesting when it comes to understanding and understanding information is that we have a very scattered landscape of systems. We have all the system you can think about, and all the vendors that you've heard about. So we're good at food, but we're also quite good at integrations. the background to this service project, or actually it started us as a working capital project, was that we had some new ownership in 2012. Yet another private equity team that bought Findus, and they saw new opportunities, and they had new ideas how to improve the value of the company. And we know that to do changes you need cash, and you need to have a positive working capital trend to prepare for future investments. And in our case, that was positive news, because it's all about the footprint and cost efficiencies that we need to make to be competitive, to still be competitive on the market. It's an interesting thing in the food business is that our customers is also our main competitor in terms of private labels. It's also so that we had in 2012 we had a big scandal. We had some horse that jumped into a lasagna, and it took quite some money to recover from that, to invest in the brand. And that is also something to create future value for the company, to make sure that the brand, which is the main advantage for the owners, to keep that on a high level. And we wanted also to make sure that they have an exit plan. Private equity, they always have an exit plan. And they need to secure that they will get back their money once they want to do an exit. And I was also told by some Americans that the inventory is way too high. This will never happen in the States. So that took off for the project, trying to get down on that one. I also heard that we need to improve the service, so that was sort of the starting point of this one. We have been working on working capital. We've been private equity owned since 2000, and each time, this is the fourth owner, every owner has tried their best to get cash out of the company. And we have been on a certain level for quite some time, and it was a question, why can't we get lower? We were on a fairly high level, also compared to some of our sister companies. We have a lot of process. We have an IBP process, and we had a process to do the service level calculations. We had a process how to set the targets for our inventories. But it felt like it's not fit for purpose. We also saw that there is perhaps something that is missing because we can't reach the next level. We have all the tools. We have a great demand planning tool, a great process in demand planning and forecasting. We have supply planning optimization tools. We have ERP systems. We have it all. But still something missing, perhaps. We had a process that was fairly hard. It took a long time, just like IKEA said. It took days to prepare. A lot of manual works, a lot of intervention, a lot of spreadsheets floating around. Made it hard to do it. So we didn't do it that often, once or twice a year, perhaps. Another thing is that we have a lot of information, but we have a very, very scattered landscape. So it's really difficult to see through the numbers, because there are islands of information in the factories, in the DCs, and so on. So we weren't sure that we know all the information to work with. And at the same time, the biggest one is that we have a lot of inventory. We had a lot of money stayed in the cold stores, but we also had a lot of stockouts, extremely high levels sometimes. Our customers assume that we're going to be at 98% case fill rate. That's the expectation. Anything below costs money, so we have to pay them for every time that we are below that. If we're at 97.5, they might just don't care about it, but if you get lower, they start to bill you, and it goes quickly. So we were thinking, how do we get to the next level? What do we need to do? We need to have a different approach, another way of working, basically. And yeah, I have some experience from behind, and I have a big team of good people, and we just said that try not to invent the wheel again. Someone must have done it before, so we start to ask people, talk to friends, talk to colleagues, and whatnot. And we saw that there's a lot of options. We have a lot of vendors in-house already, and they explain to us what we can do when we ask them, we talk to them, and did several workshops, try to understand how we're going to solve this. There's a lot of experience in the market. It's been going on for quite some time. So we learned from others, and we did a lot of benchmarking between the different options that were available. And we find out, and we start to the program we nominated to go with Optilon, someone that we didn't work within Findus before, prior to this one. One of the key things were that they explained the difference, not only to me, but also for the team that I work with. And we had various ways of working, because we wanna do this project a little bit differently than we normally do. Normally we do big things, but we're really bad at execution sometimes. So we try to do it a different way and start, ease up, and develop the project as we go and as we learned internally. And we saw that we could see real numbers of of what we could reach. And based on that, we could build a business case towards our owners. And it appears also that the concept and the way of working is that to go with SO99 to try and go from just look at inventories level and start thinking about service as a concept instead. And it was really something that fitted into the way that we were working. We are fast-moving consumer goods. We have a lot of data that needs to be handled. We are not a big organization. We want something that is quite easy to work with. It needs to be done fast and hopefully without any interventions. We had an idea within the company that we understood the complexity. We know everything. And we do, everybody knows the top 10 items. Everybody knows what's on our top selling list. Everybody knows about the ones that are really on shortage. But we have a huge range of products that no one has any clue about how they're performing, if they're driven in the correct way. We are a forecast-driven, make-to-stock environment, meaning that service and safety stock levels and forecasting gets a perfect fit into the way that we work. And the way that we think made us this as a sort of that we went through in a good way was that we started and said we want to do this with a strong partner, because we obviously didn't know about this because we weren't that good. We set some clear targets towards ourselves, and I committed that to the owners. To get the money funded, I committed to a certain level of, at the start, that we're going to get to a certain level of inventory reduction in number of dollars. I took a roughly right approach. Try not to debate about all the details. Just get it done and get started. We were a really small team. There were 1 or 2 externals, and we were 1 or 2 internals that were in the focus team to start with, just to get rid of all the knowledge and all the understandings and all the restrictions and all the complexity. We just said, let's do this easy to get the debate out of the project. And we did it with an agile. We tried to be agile in the project, trying to learn as we went, trying to adopt the level of details and the complexity built on as we were developing. But one thing that we did start with was that we created a controlled data model, because we had so much data and so many systems. And to get a consistency and in the understanding as the project develops, we want to have the same information, the same structure all the way, to make sure that we understood how the systems and how the process and how the output, what was the basis and what we could predict to happen. And that we had a good fit in the application towards what we want to do and what we want to achieve. That was sort of the things that we have realized. These were the key things for us at the time. And we did it in a 3-step model. We start with a very, very short pre-study, just to see, is this the thing to do? We did a proof of concept, just to get some better understanding and to get more money into the project, and then we did the implementation. We started off, the first beginning was that, okay, we want to lower the inventory, the working capital. That was the start off. And we said that we start with reductions. We start to lower our inventory because everybody understands money. It's easy to address, it's easy to understand, and it's a sort of key metric. And we did this, we saw directly that we were quite high. We could see that we were high, and there was a lot of worries in the company, in the teams that were working with the system. So we started to do this with small adjustments, month by month, trying not to get a bullwhip or anything into the system. And we saw that by doing that and just taking out the excessive inventory, we didn't get any negative service impact. It was a lot of people thought that we're gonna lose the service, but what we did was we just took out waste of the system. We just took out things that weren't giving any sales, and by doing this, slow and easy, step by step, we proved the system to the team and the model. And then you get a buy-in and you get more support from all planners in various departments as such. We did get some quite fast results. What's interesting here is basically to look at this red line. Is basically how much we lowered our safety stock over 4 months. The other numbers are a little bit sort of based on the seasonality that we have. But we gained some big percentage of the inventory so fast with small adjustments, which was a good thing. But during this time, there was a change because in food, some things are changed dramatically. So we had a sort of a service issue that popped out, and we started to get a little bit punished by that all of a sudden. So we then started to do this remix thing because we had only taken out inventories, but we started also now quite fast to remix our inventory, not only looking at the safety stock, but in other parts as well. And the good thing now, we built a very, very structured data model, so it was very easy for us to change the scenario, change the targets that we're working with, and we could predict what it's going to be. And we easily created new service classes because we made a one-size-fits-all solution that we have had forever. That food service and retail customers is the same. All items are equally as important into a sort of ABC classification. But then we saw that all the food service customers, all the food service products, all of them became sort of a C product because it was based on volume and on profitability, and hence all the food service products became less important in the total range, and they were punished. So what we did that we just cut the channels into two. So then the food service products were able to compete with each other to get the perfect mix, and the retail to get their perfect mix. and that we did. That is like an hour work, and then then we changed the whole setup, and that created. Sorry. So we made a very fast thing on that one. So we created a new standard within Findus in the way that we looked at the inventory, and it was all based on the fact that we saw something new. We saw this happening in the analysis, in the data, in the tool, that there is a discrepancy. Why are these products always punished? Why is this happening? And the understanding within the company is then we just saw something, and it was so easy just to make the decision how to handle it, and you have an instant result by doing that. And we could play around and see how the mix should be done. So that created a new standard within the company. So now I can go to the food service director and say, yes, you're gonna have a service. I can secure that you're gonna have your service, and I can go to the retail director and tell her, yes, I can provide you 98%. And I can do that at the same time. And I can go to the finance director and tell, yes, I increase the service, but I don't need more money, which is a very interesting thing. And we can predict how much it's going to be, and I can say that with some sort of confidence, this is what's going to happen, which is a really good thing. We have some improvements, of course. As you can see, these are 2 years. We were at the same level. This is year end. That's what counts. But this is year end. We were at the same level, 11 and 12. Here's where we got the new ownership. We started the proof of concept around here, and we started the implementation. And this is around May, and this is September. And we have been on this level for several years before. So we went down the 10 million that I promised the owners, almost on the penny. But what was really interesting in this project was that we started off and we were trying to get money out of the system, but at the same time we were losing quite some money because we were stock outing. So we did the change in the service, and as you can see, this is the same timeline as we had before. We had this service, we were at this level the year after, with the same amount of inventory. We decreased the inventory, and we went from here to here in 1 year. And the reason for that is that we thought that we know how to plan and how to target our inventories. Each and every planner were doing their best trying to say how much of safety stock do I need for all of these items. And they did what they could. But it's also important to understand that having the planners doing their best, they're doing several things, a lot of things, every day. And this is something they do once or twice a year. And they think they know how all the products are working. But it was quite clear there. They tried their best, but they didn't have the visibility to understand all the details. They were working with the different information. The wrong information. So they made the wrong assumptions. And this is a thing with doing this without a human intervention. You take out the personality and the difference of each and every planners and their sort of gut feelings and whatnot. This is quite a step. It's a huge difference from what we have seen before. Not only that it's on a higher level, we also have a much less, the dips are much smaller. So it becomes much more stable. And the fact that we are changing this monthly instead of once a year, twice a year, also means that we're changing 20% of the products every year. So new products, it could be almost a year before we touch them and that we changed them and corrected them. And we don't know about the new product, how they will react and how they will sell. We just set them at one level, thinking that this is sort of the type of product and it will happen and it will work like this. But by doing this, we can easily, after 3 weeks' time, after the launch date, see how is this product going. And then we can adapt the safety stock instantly, and hence keep track of the service. So the question was this a difficult thing from what we had and where we went? Some things that is also IKEA said, the change management is of course it's the biggest thing, always. I have a lot of people that's been working with the planning for quite some time, and proud of what they do. And they were in control. They had a target to fit. They think that they're doing their best every day, and they think that they believe in their ability of this, and they believe that they have a good understanding. Yes, they do, but they don't see the full picture. They don't have the data. They don't see all these details, and that's what we came from: a very scattered landscape, wrong information, wrong structure of the data. Trying the way that we handle this thing in terms of change management was that we listen to the planners. We acknowledge their understanding and their ability and their input into each and every change we did. We gave them informations about what we're going to do. We also put up clear the expectations, what we're going to achieve. And we made very, very small steps. People from Skåne are quite slow, so you have to be very gentle when you do changes. So we took small steps to prove each and every time that this is actually working. There are skeptic people everywhere. And we made sure that we didn't have any setbacks. Another thing that we do was that we did a change. When we changed a product and we changed the level of a product, we had the information, and this is what we have, and this is the new number. We gave this information to the planner and said, okay, this is what we want to do. Do you think this is correct? And they had a chance, item by item, to say, no, I think it shouldn't be, I don't think it should. It went from 5 to 2 weeks. They said, I think it's going to be 4. 4 weeks is probably not. And they put 4 in. And then we implemented 4 weeks into the system. Almost. What we did was that we took their understanding, the system understanding, and we made a cut. So if they thought 4, the system said 2, we took 3, put 3 into the system. The next month, the system says 2, we give them the number 3. They forgot about that they said 4 the last time. We put the number, okay, so previously it was 3, now it's 2. Nah, it can't be 2. It's probably 2.5. Okay, 2.5 and 2, and then it's 2.2. And the next time, and then we're down to the system. Each and every time, proving that it's so hard to see through all this information. We spend a lot of time to make the integrations and to make the stability in the database to get a structured way of working. That we can do changes in the model, changes in the way of thinking easily and fast. So we spend a lot of time on that one. And finally, once you just have to cut loose. You just have to jump. People are afraid, just go. It won't hurt. So that's where we are. So this is basically what we have done so far. We start off with all the finished goods. There's a lot of opportunities left. We are quite rough in the way, still the way we work. So what we're doing, we are increasing all the data, all the levels, try to understand more, get more information into the planning. Integrate into our IBP process, looking also on the inventory, putting that one into the cycle of our IBP process. Something that we haven't done, but we're supposed to do, is to do a rollout also in Finland and Norway. We have a lot of tools. If I can get one tool out of the working space, that's good. So can we do demand planning? in a different way as well. We're in food, trying to understand there are possibilities with trade promotions. This is exactly what drives us. Some of our main products is never sold into a store without a discount. There are products in the market that we sell that you never get the chance to buy without a discount. They are heavily trade promoted. So what was started off to try, we'll try to free up money, try to invest something, and do fun things instead of having things in a warehouse. So we tried to do some investments instead of inventory. We got some money from the owners to build this piece. This is a new cold store that we're building in Skåne, the biggest in Northern Europe. Right now we're starting up. That is not easy, I tell you. But use the information, make the right decisions, and spend your time with doing fun things instead. Thank you.
Thank you, Erik Börtemark. You said in the end that it's not easy to build that physical building. How come that's such a challenge?
Well, the building is quite simple, actually. You just ask a constructor, and they will come with all the machines, and they will do it. But if it's fully automated, it calls for some system and some information. That is not very simple. And to create an organization to handle it, it's not very simple.
Because?
It's huge flows, it's big volumes, and we sell the same amount of food every day. It never stops. So you just have to jump on the train when it's running at full speed.
But you do see the benefits in the end, how this will enable you to take the next step, having this big facility.
Yeah, it does, both in terms of the distribution setup and also in terms of cost and so on. But also the way that we can now utilize all the information we have that we learned from about our products, how we're going to sort it out. We can use the same information about how are the products stored, what's the levels, what's the service, and so on, and we can adopt that into that system that controls where to put the pallets away. So we can increase the speed in the system with that understanding, and with that we can predict how much of inventory we're going to have also in terms of number of pallets day by day, optimizing each and every channel of inventory. That will not happen before Christmas, though, but it will eventually happen.
One thing to clarify, that when you said you made the split between retail and food service products, what is food service products?
Oh, sorry. That's what we sell to schools. A lot of our food goes to schools and restaurants. So that is like a professional market versus a consumer market.
And you used to have that in one big soup.
We had a big bowl of inventory, and we treated that, and we said this is the number of products, and this is the money that we spend on inventory, just as such.
But the logistics are totally different.
The logistics is different, and the demand pattern is different, and the speed of the flow is different, but we treat them as one. Seeing that was a very stupid idea. We saw that what's happening, and we just had a totally different view of things, looking at the information from a different angle. That was a good thing. That was a really good thing.
Have you had to replace people with the new systems that demand? No. You can really just educate.
Yeah, and it's not a lot of people that needs to work with the system. That's one of the key things. I don't want to have people working with things that the machine can do better. So basically, I can take workload out of people, make a machine do it, and these guys can do something more beneficial, or what they can actually do a difference. Because we didn't do a difference in terms of humans into that perspective, trying to see how much inventory we're going to have. But then it's better that they can actually control the daily flow, or that they can make a better tactical plan, or that they can work with all the capacities, or do those type of actions instead of trying to predict how much inventory we're going to have. So that's the
And those owners, the private equity people, I bet that you were not always welcoming their demands, but have they really forced you to be more efficient?
Yeah.
That was an
Yeah,
interesting.
but I mean that's a key thing. It's always that you can always do better. You can always do better. And sometimes someone will tell you, and sometimes you know it by yourself. But of course, there's always an opportunity. It's always an opportunity.
Please, the audience, what more would you like to know? Are we being fed? Yes, please. Can we have a microphone there, please? You'll get one.
Hello, Erik.
Hi.
First of all, congratulations for the journey and the results. Very impressive. I have two questions, please. One is related to the integrations with your puzzles of systems, and the other one a little bit about the process that you have today, but also if you can share what you have in mind in terms of integration with the IBP. So, first of all, integration with the systems, how long it took you, what challenges, data harmonization, if you can comment on that, please.
Yeah, it took from start to finish. We probably worked, I don't know, half a year perhaps, until we were sort of finished and structured as such. The big challenges are to actually understand where do we have the data needed. That's one thing. Trying to understand what are the master data that we are actually using in the system. How do we make sure that that is sort of correct? How do we, what information is actually to translate different systems nomenclature or names of the same thing, trying to integrate that took quite some time actually from our perspective, understanding that we don't really know everything that we do.
And I guess also integrated all the business rules which are not in the system. So this you should do it through a process.
Yeah, but we tried to make sure that the business rules were able to be somewhere in the structured database or in our master data somewhere, trying not to do too much logic into the integrations, even though we always have to do some smart things in the transactions. But
and yeah, related to the second question, your vision of integrating this in the group SNOP or IBP.
Yeah, it's trying to be more predictable in how we develop our inventories. Trying to utilize it, doing the budget, for example, or doing the forecasting. Trying to see more predictably on when we set the service, and we actually use that information to understand what is the tactical plan, how much production do we need to do in each and every bucket. Trying to be more flexible in our production, because right now a lot of our production is basically running the same pace all year round. We're not that flexible in some aspects, but trying to know and tell the production that, okay, we want to have 2 shifts here and 1 shift here and 2 shifts here, by looking at how much inventory we should carry to keep the service. So we make a sort of a tactical plan on that level for manning and those things. So that is sort of what I think, that we will actually get more money out of the process and the system.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Finally, is there, yes, sorry, was there, yeah, question right back there? It's dark in here, so.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hi. You've been talking a lot about replenishment system. You've mentioned.
Could you please put the microphone just more towards the mouth, please, so we hear better? Yeah.
You've been talking, sorry, about replenishment system. What about forecasting system?
Yeah, we have a forecasting, and we have a forecasting tool, and we have a forecasting process that is quite stable, and currently those are not fully interlinked. So what we've done is we're only looking on the service optimization, only trying to control how much safety stock should we have on each and every product. So our sort of next thing would be that we integrate the demand planning into this service optimization thing, because if we get a better and the same demand signal into this that we have on the actual flow of goods, we could probably get more money out of the system and be even more accurate. But it's sort of that is a big project to change that where we are right now, and we have to do some sort of ERP changes before we can get into that. But that is sort of, when that happens, I have an idea how what we're gonna do at that time, because right now we have a stable process in demand planning. We're fairly good at demand planning, but we could gain more if we integrate that into this process and into this tool.
Finally, if you would get the opportunity now to promote one of those punished products that we don't discover or we need discount to discover, what would you like to promote right now? Induce us to buy.
Yeah. Well, personally, I buy three things that I buy a lot myself. I buy peas.
Yeah.
Peas is a very good thing to eat.
Love
actually,
peace and understanding.
it's very good for your heart, and it's a lot of protein. And it's locally grown here in Sweden. Fish is very good for you to eat, and also for me. And then I eat a lot of cinnamon buns actually. So yeah.
Cinnamon buns,
Yeah.
very healthy.
Yeah.
And thank you very much, Erik.
Thank
Thank you.